Friday, September 6, 2019, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So Billy got filled in his order to buy some silver at 1850. Of course, it's not futures. It's the real thing. He's even got it delivered already. So he got it through the post this morning. So he's got his Kookaburra 10-ounce silver coin. It's an Australian Perth Mint coin. So he's happy and he's gone back to sleep now. Yes, yesterday was a frustrating day for holders of precious metals. But for those who hold precious metals physically, for fundamental reasons and for the long term, yes, frustrating, but not the end of the world. If anything, it allows people to accumulate more, gives them the opportunity to exchange fiat paper for real money. Some people don't think precious metals are real money, but they have been used as money for thousands of years. And they have a better track record than paper. Of course, there are other things that are money, that have been money in the past, and I'm not denying that. Like in Germany, after World War II, cigarettes were used as money, or shells, or salt, or anything else that people desire and that is easily exchangeable into other commodities, goods, or services, right? So today I want to talk about, with what happened yesterday in precious metals, the correction. I want to talk about when, if ever, would I exchange my savings for fiat money, and why I think we're nowhere near a stage where that would be advantageous for people who have monetary savings. Before that, of course, I'll look at where the markets are this morning. Yesterday, of course, when it was another one of these trade rumors, trade statement days where to help the stock market. I mean, they didn't even say they came up with a trade deal, right? They just said that they're going to start talking again from the 1st of October, and the market went all crazy. As I've said before, the deadline for the trade deal was March 1st, 2019. So I don't think it's going to get any easier anytime soon for the US and China to come to an agreement. Personally, I think it's much more than just trade. It's more about the US trying to squash China's growth. President Trump, the US, they see that China is a challenge to the American hegemony, economic global hegemony, and they want to stop that. And the Chinese, of course, are not going to bow to the Americans on that. So I think it's going to be very hard. It's more than just a trade deal, in my opinion. And I think, unfortunately, the world is getting more and more divided between the US and China. And that's not a good thing. Why not cooperate? Why not admit that there's a new kid on the block that's just as good as you? It's just like in sports, right? You don't see it when Arnold Palmer was king in the 60s of golf and Jack Nicklaus came along. Yes, a lot of the fans didn't like Nicklaus. He was the young upstart. He was overweight. They used to call him Ohio Fats. But they became best friends. And Nicklaus would win some. Palmer would win some. That's what it's all about. But they didn't try to go there. Nicklaus didn't try to break Palmer's kneecap and vice versa, right? So cooperation, I think, is important, but I don't think we're going to get that. Anyway, so yeah, the markets rallied overnight, and then when the US opened, they rallied even more. The Dow finished off the highs. It was up 400 plus most of the day. It finished up 372. 1.4%. S&P finished 38, 1.3%, and the Nasdaq 100 finished 1.75% higher. So that's what happened yesterday. We saw bond yields back up or go up again a little bit, quite a bit actually. We've got this morning, the 10-year yield is almost back up to 160. It's up to 158.5. The 2 years 154.5. So the curve is re-steepening the 2s, 10s. We heard Fed officials saying they're concerned about the inversion of the yield curve. So they got what they wanted there in terms of the curve. Today, of course, we've got non-farm payroll, the hypothetical jobs number. Yeah, it's hypothetical. It's a survey. Do you really think that the employment picture, not only for the U.S. but even here in the U.K., is that good? I don't think so. There's still there's still almost 100 million Americans that could be in the labor force but are not. So yeah, unemployment rate is expected to stay at 3.7%, which is historically very low, but it doesn't count all those people who are not working and are not looking for a job, basically because they can't find one, right? And they've just given up. The number that the markets focus on is the non-farm payroll number, expected to come in at 160,000 hypothetical new jobs created. Average hourly earnings as well. That's what the Fed focuses on. It's the Keynesian fallacy that higher wages or earnings create inflation, not that it's the consequence of the Fed's policy of inflating the money supply. Anyway, that's expected 0.3%. So that's going to be a key number out at 8:30 New York time, 1:30 my time here in London. So we can get back to the markets now and see what's going on. Well, gold and silver continuing lower here. We're not, gold is down $8 right now at 15.11. So it's 7:42 a.m. London time. High's been 15.20. The low's been 15.10. Of course, since August last year, we're up over about $350. So we have to take that into account. Of course, the move since the end of May has been very sharp, higher. Silver as well. In the last few days, the move has been very sharp. So yeah, the powers that be, the gold cartel, they know how to play the game. They're triggering all these stops, all the speculators who play the paper game, right? And that's what we're seeing here in gold and silver. Silver's down another 20 at 1844, or down 1.14%. Dow futures this morning right now is up 42, 26,768. S&P 500 is up 2 3/4 at 2978. NASDAQ 100 future is up 2.7863. Let's quickly look at a chart of the S&P 500. See how it looks here. So this is a weekly chart. So you see we're we're about, let's see, 30 points off the all-time high. The only thing we can say here is whether this move higher is going to be the right-hand shoulder of a head and shoulder here that we've been forming since April this year, or if we're going to blow through the old high from, let's see, when was that, in July, and make even higher highs. Who knows? Difficult to say. Crazy markets though. What about the currency markets? Well, the currencies rallied, the other fiat currencies rallied against the fiat dollar. That's all they are, paper, right? The pound is back above 123 now. It's up about 10 pips this morning, so fairly quiet. Euro is back above 110, 110.45, up 0.1%. And the dollar is stronger actually against the Japanese yen at 107.05. So yeah, yesterday the dollar went down, even though gold went down as well. So things are kind of crazy at the moment. The dollar is down 0.1% against the yuan at 713. WTI crude is at 56.30, unchanged. And Brent as well at 60.80, unchanged. So that's where the markets are. I've spoken about the bond markets already. So when would I, how can I say, exchange some of my precious metals savings for fiat paper or fiat currency or Bank of England notes or Federal Reserve notes? One thing that I think about when we have days like yesterday, because psychologically it's tough. I admit, and I've been accumulating precious metals since 2002, and it's frustrating to see these moves. But then I think to myself, would I really want to finance these bankers and these governments that lie to the people, that tax you, that start wars with lies? That's what I think about. So because our monetary system, money that you think you hold in the bank is actually not yours. It's an unsecured loan to that banking institution. Indirectly, it's an unsecured loan to the central bank, and then indirectly, it's an unsecured loan to the governments, be it Democrat or Republican or conservative or labor. It's a loan to the government because the money nowadays is backed by taxation. It's always backed by government debt, right? That's why Lagarde, the future president of the ECB, is calling for governments to borrow more so that they can issue more debt, so that there's more money in the system. So do you really want to do that? That's what you do when you hold this paper. When you lend, you're basically lending money to these criminals, really. They are criminals because, Lagarde is a convicted criminal. And so that's what I think about. Will there ever be a time when I want to deal with these people? I remember when I started out in Geneva, Switzerland, in a small bank, private bank there, that we put some dollars on deposit for a client on a 3-month deposit, euro dollar it's called. And it's nothing to do with the euro. This was in 1990. And I remember we got over 7% interest. And that was a year, about for 3 months. Maybe if we had rates like that while inflation was really 2 or 3%, I might think about exchanging some of my precious metals and deal with these people. But then again, I probably wouldn't. What I'm trying to say is that there is no end in sight to the money printing. There is no end in sight to the low zero rates, to the negative rates. The only way they can reverse that is for central banks to start raising rates again and actually give forward guidance, which is a term that they use, the central bankers, that they're going to go back to like 5-6% rates. And then you see the bond market collapse. But then the whole economy would collapse. The whole warfare state would collapse. So I don't see that. So that's how I view things right now. Will there ever be a day when we even hold fiat money again, that we should hold fiat money again? I don't even know if that is going to be something that will ever happen in our lifetimes. So that's how badly they've led the system into this road where there's no way out of this. So that's what I'm trying to say here. Of course, you have to decide for yourself if you're interested in precious metals. I'm not here advising anyone. I'm just telling you what I've done in the past. And it has protected me. It has protected my savings. So there you go. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Make sure you also click that little notification bell above to be notified of all my new videos. And you can also follow me on Twitter, Steemit, and on DTube. Billy and I wish you all a great Friday, and we'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.